Welcome. This is Kristen Crabtree with the Lance Edwards Group. We have a special treat for you today. We're interviewing a new apartment champion who is here to share his story about how he closed on his first multifamily deal since getting started with Lance's system. Please help me welcome Rafael.
Hi there. How are you? How's everybody doing?
Great. Okay, so as I usually do, I'm going to review just sort of the nitty-gritty facts about the deal. So he's done a couple, three since working with Lance. The first one was an 8-unit property. He started working with Lance 2 years ago, and he's done 3 deals. He did have some real estate experience before. He got started with real estate investing because of a book he read, and he became aware of the fact that most wealthy people do real estate investing, and if they could do it, he could do it. So that's how he got into it. He does a rehab and hold for a short-term strategy. So he purchased the first 2, well, he'll probably tell us more specifically, but a year or 2 ago, fixed them up, held them, and then sold 2 of them recently. And the third one he just bought recently. The deals are in Florida. He's in Florida. He found them on websites such as 100units.com. He did not use any of his own money, and he did use a private lender for one and a hard money lender or hard money for the other. The properties did need work. The first one, he profited $110,000. The second one is closing in a couple of weeks. It could have profited more than what it is profiting, but it's profiting about $60,000. It had some problem tenants, and he's had to do evictions, and that's what sort of caused the hiccups. So, Rafael, did I summarize that pretty well?
Yes, that's pretty good.
Okay, perfect. So before we get started, share with me a little about your personal and professional background.
Well, I have done a lot of things in my life. I know a little bit about everything and nothing about anything. So I'm pretty much a jack of all trades. I've done just about everything that can be done, I guess. I've been a financial planner. I've been a tax expert. I've been a soccer referee. I've been an emergency planner. As a matter of fact, I was working as an emergency planner when in San Francisco when the earthquake hit in 1989. And the good thing about it was that the plan that we had just implemented worked. So,
Wow.
well, at that time I was working for a little bank called Wells Fargo, and that was the only bank that was operational in San Francisco because of the emergency plan that I helped develop, and I was the lead on one of the leaders. So when it comes to risk and everything, I know a lot about risk because of that. And I understand what risks are. So whenever I look for a property, I look for certain things. Like, for example, I stay away from hurricane areas. I stay away from flood zones because I don't want to deal with insurance companies. I haven't had an experience with them, and they like to say no matter how much you pay. And so I look at risk in a different way than most people because of my experiences as an emergency planner. And also as a financial planner, we have to look at risk because the most important thing is not losing your money. And now since I am a risk taker, which is why I started up again, because I have lost my wealth 3 times now. So I'm going back again, but I have it back, but within the 2 years, so I'm okay with that. And that's what got me motivated to get back into real estate. So because I left it, I had done well before, then I left it, and I said, okay, time to get going again. So that's what I'm doing. So.
Great. Yeah, so you mentioned off camera that you have some real estate investing or real estate experience, and you've just made reference to it again. So can you share with us a little bit about that?
Well, like I mentioned before, I did read a book, and it was 1979 or 1978, and they were talking about the Vanderbilts, stand for the big four, basically, and how they became wealthy. Yeah, they all became wealthy because they all bought real estate somewhere that made a lot of money for them. So I said, well, if those guys can do it, why can't I? So I started. So I got my first little rental property in 1980, and then I got another one about 2 years later, and I would have kept those forever but I had got married, I had kids, and my wife she was raised by people her family had gone through the Depression. So she was very conservative. She thought that real estate was too risky. So to keep the peace at home, I went and said, okay, I sold them. But I always had the real estate bug. And then I started again because when I first lost everything in 2008, because I had my money in the stock market uh, in 2008. So that really didn't help anything. So then I bought some real estate, some properties, which some of them worked out, some of them didn't. And then once I got back again, I stopped, which is my mistake. That was one of the things that I really beat myself up about, that I stopped doing what I was good at. And because right now I won't be not struggling, but I won't be going after properties like I am now. And I'm gonna have to take a little bit more risk than I should. And that will be my advice to anybody who's listening to this or listens to this, is that once you get going and you have a nice plan and it works, just keep repeating it over and over. Just rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. And all that means, the rinse is a new property and the repeat process is to keep on doing it. And so I had heard about Lance Edwards from a whole bunch of people. So I finally, I guess it was just about over 2 years ago, that I went and I got an email from somewhere, and it was from Lance or somewhere or other. He got my email. So I attended, at that time it was virtual course because COVID was going rampant. So I went and figure out, okay, I'll go ahead and do it. And all that information that he gave me, it's was good enough for me. So, okay, well, I'll try it. And so I went ahead and did it. And talk about private lenders. I knew about them from before, but not the way that I didn't know them as well as I thought I did. So in some of the things that Lance said gave me a whole bunch of perspective. And so I used that, and then I got partners for my two deals. I found them at similar times. The 8-unit, which you mentioned, I found it, and I had talked to several people about it, and they all said yes, they wanted, but then when it was time to close, they backed out because, oh, it's too risky, too risky, too risky. So I went through 5 people. Then the 5th person I got a week before I had to close. The reason why, because the seller was no longer going to give me any more extensions, because I already had extended 4 times. So, but this person, once I showed her the numbers, she said, okay, fine, let's go for it. And so, and she was very happy last month, 2 months ago, when we sold it, because for for $10,000, that's all she put in. And then she borrowed the rest from a friend we both signed on the loan, but she borrowed the rest from a friend. And for $10,000 that she put in, we got a net profit of about 110,000. And then what we did, because one trick that I learned is that if you always close around the 28th of the month. And the reason why is because that way on the 1st, guess what you get into your mailbox? The rents from all those units. And that's what we did. We used that money to renovate the properties.
That's a great tip too. Yeah, that's awesome. So prior to Lance, the real estate you were investing in, was it all single family residences, or had you done some multifamily?
No, I had done multifamily, a lot bigger than the ones I'm doing now. I was syndicating before. My first syndication was a little one, 244 units. That one we bought for 4.8 million and we sold for 11.2. So, and that's what I'm saying, that I did that 5 syndications in a row real quick and then I stopped. And I rested on my laurels, as the saying goes. And that was a mistake on my part. And that's what I don't beat myself up about it, but I sure wish I hadn't. It's not a regret either because it's done. I can't change it. Why regret something that I can't change? But I sure wish I hadn't, because then I wouldn't have to. With COVID hit, it really affected everything that I was doing. So it really hurt a lot financially. So I decided, okay, well, I better get started. So
And
that's
so
why I say if you're doing it, just keep on doing it. Even if you only do one deal a year after you're set, just keep doing it so that you can keep always growing and keep always developing. And you never know, you might come up with another home run like I did on my first big deal on my first syndication.
So did you sell those properties, or what happened with them?
Oh, they were all just like this one. I found them, renovated them, and sold them.
Okay. Okay,
It,
great.
it was kind of a whole, the longest one that I held was for 2 years.
Okay. And
So
since
so basically it was just a kind of a long-term flip.
got it. Got it. Okay, great. So since you had already done multifamily, where did you get stuck? Like, why did you reach out to Lance? Why did you start working with him?
Because my last indication, the partnership that I had was really left a bitter taste with me. And I just didn't want to trust anybody again. And that's really what happened. And so I decided I want to do things by myself. And then I had COVID hit, and then that kind of screwed everything up. And then I needed money. So I said, okay, I'm going to find another partner, but I'm going to be very, very picky. And so that took a while to find new people to work with. And and I finally found this person who's still partners with, we just bought another small duplex, but that duplex actually is making more money than the eightplex was. So that one's going to be a short term because we're already looking at a 20 unit. And I'm providing the brains and she provides the access to money. So and it's working out that way. So she leaves me alone. I do the operations. She sees all the checkbooks. She sees all the finances. She sees everything. And she knows that every dollar is counted for. And then I just do what I need to do to make sure it's profitable. And she likes that. She doesn't have to worry about it. And now that she sees that how it works, because I have done it before, she wants to start bringing in now people with money so we could go after bigger deals. So that's why we're looking at a 20 unit. And if we find a little bit bigger, because a friend of hers said, I want bigger than that. I have more money than that. I said, okay. So it's turned out to be very beneficial for me and also for her, because now she also is realizing, because no matter what we do, every day that goes by, we get older. She's saying, I want to relax a little bit more. So she's enjoying the fact that, hey, $10,000 and in 2 years I made 50,000. That's not bad. She kind of likes those returns. So
yeah. How did you find her?
Well, I had met her at a real estate meeting 12 years ago, maybe more. And we just kind of kept in touch, but really nothing. And how I met her is because her husband is a mortgage broker. And I had tried to get him to do some of my loans, but we never worked out. But we always stayed in touch. So it just kind of happened that one time I went to she called and we started talking. She asked me what I was doing. I said, right now I'm just goofing off doing little flips and doing some things for people if they need help and stuff like that. Well, guess what? And and I says, where do you live? And I told her where I live. And says, oh, my sister lives there. She needs a new kitchen. Can you do it for her? I said, sure. So I did a kitchen. She loved it. And she saw how the kind of work that I direct people to do. By the way, I don't do any work. I delegate. I learned that. Delegated people know how to do it faster and quicker than you can, so that you can continue doing stuff. And she was very happy, and I did it. I mean, it was a small kitchen, but I still made $2,000, and my guys got paid really well, and the person is really, really happy. So everybody won, everybody's happy, and so it's nice little. At that time, it happened to be Christmas money, so that's how I get my gifts to my grandkids. So,
Gotcha. Okay, good.
so it works.
So I want to make sure I understand something correctly before we move on. My understanding about why you started working with Lance, you had already done deals, you'd been successful, but you had some bad experiences. And when you decided to get back into real estate, you wanted to make sure that you kind of fine-tuned what you already knew and learn some more about relationships so that you could have more trust and that kind of thing. Is that what
correct.
I'm hearing?
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. So you've talked about your financial ups and downs, 2008 stock market, blah, blah, blah. So I'm sure you've had sort of a general goal throughout the years, but when you most recently got back into real estate, started working with Lance, what were you trying to solve through real estate investing?
Well, one of the things that I wanted to solve was, there actually is two things I wanted to solve. One is I wanted to make sure I had no debt of any kind. That was one, which is probably most of the people who start doing this, that's part of the reason why they want to do it. And then, but the other one is that I started thinking about a legacy because when both my parents are dead. I mean, my mother died when she was 48, and I already have outlived my father. So I have now 3 grandkids, and I decided I don't want to leave my kids what I discovered when both my mom and dad died. All I got, my inheritance was their bills. And I said, no, I don't want to do that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to just get going, get myself going again, so I can just relax while I'm alive. And then when I croak, they'll have something to do. They'll have something that not only will benefit them now, but also, especially for my grandkids, that if they want to go to college, it will be there. My kids don't need any money per se, because I was fortunate enough that with my wife, we got a doctor and an engineer and another one that should have been a doctor, but she doesn't like people, so that's a different story. She does not
great.
like people. That's all there is to it.
That's funny. She could be a vet. Well, vets even have to deal with the owners, so yeah.
Yeah, that's the problem. That's why she loves animals, and that's what she does. She actually takes care of animals, but she could have been a vet, but she didn't. So they don't need the money, but I just want to make sure my grandkids have something, and that if nothing else, they'll remember that Grandpa did something for them. So that's really, and actually that's what's driving me crazy, because now I really want to do all kinds of deals, not just little ones, but also the bigger ones. Yeah. And by big ones, I'm talking, again, 200 units or more. But going into that, I'm going carefully, because I want to be a lot more selective with the partners, because I do not want to happen what happened before. And part of that is because of Lance. One of the sessions that he taught, and because I repeated the course twice, one of the things he was talking about what the relationships you have to have with people. And he has a little section on that. And he talks about that and how you deal with people and how you, and all of that really triggered in me uh, a lot of the things that, okay, now I know what I did wrong. Well, not necessarily wrong, what I didn't know about how to deal with people is actually the better way to put it. It's not that I didn't, it was wrong. It was just, I didn't deal properly with the situation as opposed to just knowing how to deal with things. And some of the stuff that he mentioned trigger that in me. And that's one thing I'm really appreciative of Lance's training, that more than anything else. The number stuff I already knew, so it didn't, I mean, it helped. It was great refresher. So, but it was the dealing with people portion that really helped me the most, I have to admit. So, and for that, I'm really appreciative.
So how much time passed where you weren't doing investing, the gap like right before you started working with Lance? How many months or years had you not invested?
It was 4 years.
4 years. Okay. And for this investment cycle, how was your financial situation before 2 years ago when you started working with Lance?
Well, 2 years ago, I would say the financial situation was a lot worse than it is now. Now I can, I mean, I can go out to dinner. So I know it's only Burger King, but it's better than nothing. No, I'm seriously, I mean, I could go out to dinner, but a and before I had to really squinch. I mean, I wasn't starving, I wasn't homeless or anything like that, but I really had to scrounge for everything just to make sure that I had money to do things. Now I don't have to do that, and I can go buy a property again without too much of a difficulty. I mean, this one was a no-brainer. We saw it 3 weeks ago and made an offer on it, and the guy took it and fine. And this is, like I said, this is going to be a short one because there's a quick $50,000 profit with that, us just doing some minor work on. It's a duplex. It's just a small duplex, but it's just for $50,000 with about $10,000 in repairs. They can make a $50,000 duplex, and with the tenants put in and everything, somebody will make a nice income once I sell it to them because they'll have tenants at a market rate, not low rents or anything like that. So, and I will give you the seed money to go to where we want to go, which is the 20, 30, 40 units. And then I'm looking for partners now at the higher levels too now. But all of that is because now I'm focused on just getting going.
So do you have a specific financial goal?
My specific financial goal is to basically be making 30,000 a month doing nothing. And that's from the investments, from the rental, just 30,000 a month to start.
Great.
Because and then after that, I want to do, I want to keep, I want to set up a pattern of buying 3, selling 2, buying 3, selling 2, buying 3, selling 2. So by the end of my goals, by the end of 3 years, to have at least 200 units just in my name.
Got it.
So
Okay.
I don't have to do anything then at all.
So getting to that point, like what will that do for you?
What would it do for me? Well, it allow me to do anything that I want, especially with my grandkids, because that to me is really, I mean, I didn't, and I know I talk a lot about my grandkids, but the thing is that my grandkids never knew their grandparents. So my kids never knew their grandparents. So I want to make sure that my grandkids know their grandparents. So because that was, it was very disturbing one time when my daughter said, "What's the grandmother?" She was about 7 years old. So
Wow.
that's why it's important to me for the grandkids, because of that. I really still remember that because she was going to school. She didn't know what grandparents were because they were all gone.
Wow.
So
Okay. So you've talked about legacy. You've talked about, providing for and taking care of your grandkids. So what's your ultimate dream?
my ultimate dream is to, uh, this is a fun one for me, is to go to Europe for 3 months, buy a Mercedes-Benz bus, and then just go drive through all over Europe and camp all over the place. And because the money's coming in from all the apartments and everything, I don't have to worry about it. I know that my credit card is going to be good no matter where I'm at because of the fact that the money gets put in on the first. So that's part one. And then part two is do the same thing, but in Asia. That one I have to use airplanes because I want to see Japan, Thailand, Madagascar, Indonesia. So, but that's okay. But again, I want to do 3 6 months of that. That's what I want to do before I leave this earth. And also want to, and then the other thing that I want to do, and that one is for, and I probably will start that before I ever do my trips, is to do, want to start a foundation that, and this one's going to be especially geared for Latinos, for Latino youth. I want to get the Latino youth to get them their minds away from the mentality of being a laborer. I want to somehow or other figure a way out, set up a foundation that will figure out a way to show them that they can be anything, a doctor, a lawyer, a fireman, a policeman, something else other than a laborer. Because unfortunately, we're getting a lot of immigrants, whether legal or illegal, it doesn't matter to me, they're still immigrants. They have this mentality that all they can do is just work with their hands and just be laborers. I mean, there are some people who are designed for that, and that's okay. But 90% of the kids should have the opportunity to be something else. And that's what I would like to do, set up a foundation that will do that. And like I said, and this one's for me, it's just one specifically for Latin immigrants. That, not that I care, it's not important for everybody else, but this one is important to me because I am a Latino, and even though I don't have much of an accent anymore, but I want them to have the opportunities. I mean, I took the opportunities and I took advantage of them because I had my mother, while she was alive, she encouraged me to be something else other than. She said, you need to be something because you have a mind that you can use for anything that you want. So don't be just a worker, be something. So, and that's what I want to change mindset, I guess, is what I want to do more than anything. So, and as soon as I can, I will set that up.
Yeah, great. That's wonderful. So you've told me about some goals and some dreams. What would you say are the ways that you were hoping real estate investing would change your life?
Well, part of it, like I said, when I read that book, it said that you could be wealthy. And I discovered one thing, money is important, but it's not important to me in the sense that I have to have a lot. I'm pretty happy. Like I tell people, look, all I want in a car is a radio that works, AC that works, and an engine that runs. Everything else I can make do with. And so, and because I just want to be comfortable. But what I have discovered now through the last 10 years is that with real estate, I can create something that can last and benefit other people. And which is why I want to set up the foundation. And also I discovered, like, the Aplex, when I got the little Aplex, to put it nicely, the garbage dumps was really clean compared to that place. And within 6 weeks, we had it all cleaned up. We had painted the place. The place did not look like it was like that before. I mean, and then the riffraff, and I'll use that word very politely, to be polite, was gone because they didn't, all of a sudden, there was no way they could see uh, that they were not welcome anymore because there was somebody actually cared for the property. There were all of a sudden there was light outside. People could see outside of their units, and they could go outside and out of the units because everything was so well lit and it was clean, and they could sit out front in the front doors. They were afraid to do that before, and it took 2 months to do it. But you know what? That of the profit is really nice that it happened, but that memory, when I remember going the third month to collect rent, people were so happy to say, hey, it's really nice to be able to sit in front of my door. And just to do that hit me more than I expected. It really did. It affected me a lot more than I expected because, and Lance talks about that and how you're helping people live in a better place. And when it happened to me, it really hit me. Yeah, I was surprised how it hit me because I never thought about it that way. It's a business. I get given a nice unit, they pay rent, everybody's happy. But notice how you treat them also made it. That really hit me. It really did. And I really appreciate that Lance showed me that because it really changed my perspective on things. How to treat real estate, not just for the money, but also how you impact other people.
Fantastic. And that definitely is Lance's message.
Mhm.
What obstacles did you face when you got started? And for that, you can answer either when you got started most recently with Lance or, back in the beginning, however you want to answer it.
Yeah, well, it was very similar. And I started doing it the first time originally in 2010 when I started in going after multifamily. I lost everything in the stock market. And put a lot of stress on my marriage, to put it nicely, because all of a sudden I was not bringing in any money because I had a nice income way before I started. Then the stock market threw in everything and just put a lot of financial stress on the marriage. And unfortunately, it did not end well. We're very good friends. She's a wonderful woman, the mother of my kids. All I could say is only good things about her because she is a wonderful woman. And she helped me raise 3 wonderful kids. So we're okay. And we're now good friends. We always have been good friends. We ended very amicably, but it put a lot of stress because I had to take risk because that was the only way we were gonna make it. And she just could not handle risk. And that's her personality, and that's okay. I still admire her because for being honest about it and telling me that she could not do that. So I didn't have any money at all. And but I had the drive that was instilled by my mother to say, you got to do something. So I did, and I figured out a way to get into a fourplex. It kind of worked out, but I was doing blind, no instructions, no training, no anything, and it was in a city 2,000 miles away from where I was. And then with that one going, I got a 6-plex and a 9-plex. Again, little ones. Again, it didn't turn out the best of things, but at least it gave me a little bit of influx of cash that it worked. It kind of worked out in that sense that I was able to make a little money anyway. But again, like I said, I was doing it blind, completely with no training or no anything. It can't be that hard. That was my thinking anyway. And it isn't hard. It's just that you have to know what steps to take. And that's the one thing that I was missing. Once you take the steps and you do the steps over and over again, it's just, real estate owning is really nothing but a process. It's just like walking, you move 1 foot forward, not both of them at the same time. And that's what I was trying to do. And when you do that, all you do is stumble every time. So and that's what happened. And then I got hooked up with a couple of gurus, and some of them I didn't like, some of them I liked, and their perspective were. There was one guy, I would not mention his name, that was perspective was just how to make money off of people without concern for other people. And that didn't sit well with me. And so I didn't use his teaching. I mean, I learned a couple of things, what not to do, for example, how to treat people. So that was, in that sense, it was good. Others, they said, I'll coach you for X number of dollars, and I will lead you to a path of riches. But basically, the path of riches was just for them because you paid the money, and then there was no coaching, no anything. And they're not around anymore because of that, I bet. And well, actually, I know they're not around because of that. And one of them even went to jail because of it. So because they promised all this coaching and they never provided it. Good example is, fortunately, I was not one of those that took Donald Trump's course, but I mean, there's one a good example of that. Then I got hooked up with another guru, and he's pretty good, and that's how it got me started into the big guys. I bought his book because I couldn't take his training, but I bought his book. I read the book, and then that's where I learned the steps. And then I said, okay, well, there's the book. Let's see if it's true. So I went and without any money, no credit, no anything. I found somebody who had the credit. I found somebody that was willing to lend me some money, and all because I had been kind to them for bunches of time. So they said, I'll lend you the money. I trust you because you've been honest all the time with me. So I bought a building in Houston, Texas, a 46 unit, and this was going on during 2010, during all the takeovers of banks of everything. And so we got it. I got a deal. They wanted 1.4. I offer 800,000. It was a foreclosure, and then we agreed on a 1 million, and that's because they said we have to close her over $1 million because that's what the regulators want. I said, okay, fine. In that case, you owe me something. So you got to pay all the closing costs, not just mine. I mean everything. So I don't pay any closing costs. So they said, okay. And we did. And then because my partner had the credit, we got the credit. And then on the day we were supposed to close, we were told not to come to the title company. The reason why I found out the next day is because the bank that we had approved the loan said that got taken over by the FDIC.
Wow. All right.
So, and then we had to scramble, and they gave us 30 days to find somebody else. We couldn't find anybody else because every bank was being taken over. Then we found a lender who would do the loan at 15%, 5 points.
Wow.
And he would close within 30 days. So we did. And then just to make things more interesting, 4 days after we closed, on my birthday, I never forget my birthday now, I get a call telling me there was a fire. I thought it was at my partner's house, but no, at the apartments. Somebody had thrown a Molotov cocktail through building 1 of the complex, burned 16 units.
Oh my God.
That's 4 days after I closed.
Wow.
And then I had to deal with insurance company.
Wow. That's probably why you don't want to anymore.
That's why I don't want. No, now I know how to deal with them, but I don't want to if I don't have to.
Yeah.
But
so why did you stick with real estate investing when you have faced all these hurdles, from money to Molotov cocktails to the banks getting closed down?
Well, for the simple reason, it is a great question, because for that would have, I think a lot of people would have said never again after that. But what I did was that with some help. I have to admit, I had the property managers were great property manager. He knew about fires. He knew how to deal with insurance companies. So he walked me through the whole process. It was really great. And then after everything was fixed, on the day after we were given the certificate of occupancy for the 16-unit building, somebody just drove by. It was just somebody driving by. This is the funny thing. Somebody was driving by, but because the building that got burnt, that burnt down, was the building that faced the street. Now, this building, once all the fences were up and you move everything, this building looked brand new. So this person who happened to be driving by said, liked the way the building looked, and called up the broker who has sold us the property and said, I want to buy that building. You know who owns it? So,
Wow.
so I said, okay. So the guy said, I'll give you 1.4 for it. No, I'll take 1.65 because I was going to keep it. Now that it was brand new units and everything, we were going to make money because the prices were for the units were going to be a lot higher, right? And I kiddingly, I said, no, I'll sell it for 1.65. And he said, done.
Wow.
Now you see why I stayed in real estate.
Yes.
And even after all the frustration and everything, in about a year, I went from being broke to having a net. My share of all the profits was $200,000.
I can see why
So,
you stayed in. Yep.
so I stayed in because of that. And then I had several partnerships who were very successful, and all of them, even the one where I had the two, actually the last two that had very lousy experiences with the partnerships, uh, it still made money. So that's why I stayed. Then, and because of that, I actually shied away and actually hid from the world because I just felt so bad. I was just devastated because it really hurt that people that I thought were friends really would do that to someone else that was who they said they were their friend to, and I just couldn't. So I stayed away from people. I actually went into a shell. I literally did.
So
And
that's
I
where you were at before you started with Lance, right? Am I getting
yeah,
the
getting
sequence
out
of
of that
events right?
shell. Yeah.
Okay.
No, and I never told that to anyone. You're the first one.
Wow. Thank you.
So, but that was the reason why.
So that's
Mhm.
the sort of, I'm sorry, what?
No, but that's, that, like I said, then I decided to get back into it, and then I was reading about lands and everything. That's how I got to land.
So how has real estate investing, and you can answer this again from recent experience or throughout your life, but how has it impacted other areas of your life? Like not necessarily the financial thing, and you've just mentioned the sort of retreating from the world, but are there positive ways or just other ways that you want to share of how your life has been changed?
Well, basically now I decided that what happened in the past, and I have my bad experiences. That's what they are, bad experiences. I learn from them and move on. There's no point in just dwelling like I did. Um, and but I already shared the experience of once the people at the eightplex told me that it was so nice to be able to sit up front in their own doors now because they felt safe. That to me really impacted me, and it actually gave me the drive to really go after and see how many more people I can impact. And that's what it's really done. And then I mean, I keep reading all the stuff that Lance sends out. I actually found his book, the how to become wealthy with small apartments, or whatever the title is,
Uh-huh.
the other day again, and I started rereading it so I can really get going again, to not get going again, but to reinforce my drive, so I keep going because I like the way he writes and teaches, actually both of them. So that is really uh, it keeps me motivated a lot more than just, oh, okay, I'll do it. I'm actually doing it. And that's all because of that. the way what he teaches and how he teaches, and that's what's really keeping me going, or not keeping me going, but motivating me to keep going, I guess is the better word, better choice of word. So, and that's how it impacted me, and also the way of dealing with people. Like I already mentioned that too, how to deal with people is also really helping a lot, because it's a lot easier for me to connect with people now, and we immediately able to tell who I can work with or not. That really.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Immediately I can tell whether I can work with somebody or not because of that, about dealing with relationships. So that's how it has impacted me in
Great.
a good way.
Yep. I do have a few more questions, but I'm looking at the clock. Are you okay if we go over a little bit?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. So what did you hope would happen that hasn't?
I had hoped that COVID would not last so long, so I could go out more and talk to more people, so I could see if I could get uh, more deals. So that's the only thing. But now that things are moving on, I can now have enough contacts, and I have talked to enough people that want to work with me, and that are people that I feel very comfortable with, because it's been a kind of like like when you go out on dates, coffee, the date, the process of developing that relationship,
The courtship?
the courtship, that's the word I was looking for. Yeah, the courting has done. And now I have three different groups that want to work with me, and they want to use my experience because they're all brand new. So they want to use my experience to leapfrog other beginners, so that we can go and get some apartments. And right now we're talking about um, like I said, 20 unit, one partner. The one group we're looking at a 40 unit, and another group we're looking at a 32 unit. So, and in all of them, we're on the planning stages of what we're going to do and make offers, and we're going to go from there, see what happens. So
Great.
I'm pretty happy about that. And now that I can actually meet people face to face and talk to people, and also, and I have to admit, Zoom has turned out to be very beneficial too. And a new tool that I can use to meet people, talk with people.
So you've mentioned some ways that you've sort of been surprised through the process of real estate investing, like the wonderful story about the 8-unit property and some of the other things. But is there anything else you want to add that has happened that surprised you?
The one thing that really has surprised me is this, and I know this will sound kind of crazy, but the whole thing is really easy to do. And I will rephrase that. It is not a difficult thing to do. It's just that you got to take the right steps, and you must do the steps in the right sequence all the time. And if you do that all the time, you can actually succeed on a regular basis. And that to me has been the most surprising one, because really a building is a building, whether it's 2 doors, 100 doors, or 900 doors, it doesn't matter. It's still a building. The only difference is the number of zeros following the first number. And people are people. Everybody has to get up in the morning. Everybody has to get ready to go do whatever it is they're going to do that day. And as long as you remember that, I think, and you will succeed. And you gotta follow the process. And that's one thing that Lance emphasizes a lot in his training. Follow the process. Don't shortcut, because then when you do shortcuts, you will miss out and you will mess up. So that's about the one thing that has really surprised me is how easy it is really once you follow the steps. And then notice that once you follow the steps, it's not easy just to, I just do it. No, you got to follow the steps. The process must be followed. Now, I'll keep repeating that. I don't know how many times, but because that's what I really have learned. You got to follow the process.
Fantastic. So are there strengths that you possess that you feel helped you along the way?
There are several. One is I'm great with numbers, and I could evaluate a building in my head within 3 minutes. People are amazed that I can do that, and I could actually tell them how much you could do and everything, and all in my head. I don't have to have a piece of paper. I can just do it, and I can battle out the numbers. That's one thing. The number two is, and this I have to give thanks to my mother, is because she gave me the drive to do things. She said, just do it. Don't worry about it. Just if you fall down, get up. And if you fail, so what? You just keep on doing it. And one of the things that somebody said to me, you're persistent. And I found out that being persistent is what gets you the deals. Because if you don't make an offer, you'll never get a closing. And I tell this joke, I'm used to being told no, especially by women. People laugh, but the whole point but the point is the same. You're going to be told no hundreds and hundreds of times, but it doesn't matter. All you need is the yes once in a while, and you can be very successful. And not just in real estate, at anything. I mean, the world is filled with successful people that fail so many bunch of times. I mean, singers, actors, wealthy people, realtors. I mean, real estate people. Everybody has failed a few times before they became super successful. So get used to the word no. All it means is, okay, there's another opportunity someplace else.
So on the flip side, are there any personal characteristics you have that may have worked against you in the beginning or that you're still battling?
Yes, I'm actually succeeding and fighting that I had to do everything myself. Everything I have to do myself because nobody else could do it any better. And I'm finally breaking away from that. It's taken a while, I have to admit, but it's taken away that it's okay to delegate stuff. It's okay to check what they did. And it's okay to say, hey, it's not done properly. But you could do it in a way that doesn't antagonize people. You could do it in a way that says, you know what? I think this is incorrect for the following reasons. Can we look at this over just to make sure that I'm not, and the other thing that I do, and this is really it's a trick that I learned, I don't know from who, I really don't know. I wish I could say thank you to them but I know who taught it to me. And that is basically always say, I think I'm missing something because I don't see how you came to this conclusion. I'm blaming myself. So it's not what they did or didn't do. I'm blaming myself. So it gives them a thing to explain. And then if they can explain it, then we can know they will arrive to the conclusion, oops, I screwed up. But I never told them that they screwed up. And like I said, and that's a trick that I have learned to use, especially in the last 5 years. And it has helped me a lot.
That's a great tip, great tool.
Yeah, because I'm not saying that you're stupid. I'm not saying you're crazy. What were you thinking? No, I'm just saying, hey, I don't understand how you got to that. Can you explain it to me? Because I'm getting a different number.
Right.
So I'm blaming myself for everything. And if you can do that, you'll be amazed how people were willing to help you. I mean, there's a lady that lives across from me. She's blind, partially blind. And her sons are about an hour away. So she needs help once in a while. And I take her to her medical doctor's appointment and stuff like that. And then one day, 2 weeks ago, actually, 2 weeks ago today, there was a problem at her appointment. And she wanted me to start yelling and yelling. And I said, no, just relax. I'll get it done. We'll solve the problem. And because I was talking to the person real nice and it's saying the same thing, look, I think we missed something because we have this thing, we're supposed to be doing this, and this is what's happening, what's going on. Did we misunderstand something? They admitted that they made a mistake. And they corrected it, everything was fine and everything. And the lady, my neighbor, could not understand how it was that I got everything done without yelling. And we got what she needed. So I know that it works. And
Yeah.
that's a good example of that. So
Yeah, great story. So is there anything or what has changed about who you are since you started down this path? Like, in what ways do you think this process has made you a different person?
number one is I'm a little bit more patient. And I can accept other people's opinion a little bit more. And by accepting, I mean that I will respect their opinion. Doesn't mean I have to agree with them. And they can still believe what they want, and I'll still believe what I want after we're done, and that's okay with me. So that and that's how I become a little bit more patient. Because in the past, if I did disagree with you, I had no time for you. And I discovered that I actually missed some pretty good friendships, potential friendships, because of that attitude. Now I don't have that attitude. Now I'm a little bit more tolerant, I guess is a better word. I'm not sure. But all of those things allow me to still accept people for who they are. I don't try to change them. And I definitely do not let them change me, because I have to be me no matter what. Because if I'm not me, I'm not going to be happy. And I have to be happy with myself to be able to help other people.
So on that note, did you discover anything about yourself that surprised you?
Actually, yes. There's one thing that it surprised me the most, and that is that despite my being quite open-minded, I'm not as open-minded as I thought I was. And by that I mean that I accept just about anything and everything, but there are some things that I definitely do not accept, and I'm still not accepting. but I understand why now. I mean, there is a reason for my not accepting something. It's not like just because. It's because there is a reason. It's because of the fallen blah 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 that I do not accept this, and I can verbalize it now for anything somebody tells me. Well, you're not accepting it. Like, yeah, and this is why I don't accept it. I can verbalize it instead of just being
right.
So it's just because that's to me is not rational. So, and like I said, and that's the one thing that surprised me the most is, yes, I am open-minded, but not that as open-minded as I thought. But I'm not. But it has to do more with business stuff than anything else.
Okay, gotcha. So almost the last question. I want you to imagine yourself 5 years from now. How has your life changed?
Well, my life at that time will be, I expect to have 5 years. I actually expect to have 400 units just on my own. And then I also expect to have completed at least a trip to Europe. And if everything goes right, I hope to have take the whole family, not just me. So in other words, we will probably need to buy two minivans, Mercedes-Benz minivans, to go camping all over Europe. And then that's in 5 years, that's what I definitely would love to do. And then the other thing that I would like to do is to have the foundation really going that I mentioned to you. I really want to be doing it going so that we're helping 200 to 300 kids a year. And And if they follow the path, what I would love to set up is, and this is phase two of the whole of that foundation, is to have a scholarship if they go to college to get a career in something, not a job, but a career. I don't want them to be accountant because that's a job. I want them to be a doctor because that's a career. I want them to be a lawyer because that's a career. I just want them to be good lawyers, not bad lawyers. And honest lawyers, I guess, more than anything. Uh, but and so that they contribute for themselves and also contribute to people. But I want to be able to say, okay, you go to college, as long as you're getting B grades, you're paid for. Everything is paid for. Your family does not have to worry about it. It will be done. And that's all there is to it. You just you prove your grades, you show me the grades, you're on. You keep on going until you finish. And if you want to go from then become a doctor or something else, that you need a higher degree than just they do the same thing. It will be paid for. But you don't have to worry about getting loans or anything like that or being debt for the rest of your life. No. So that's what I want to do. That's phase two. We'll start small with just for the first year at least, but then we'll see what happens. We'll get it going more.
That's amazing. That's awesome.
Thanks.
Okay. So very last question. And you've actually already addressed some of this. So I'm just going to ask you, the question is, what advice do you have to offer others? But you've already provided some. So if you had to summarize the advice that you have, what would you say?
I will summarize it this way. Number one, expect a no and get your butt ready to work when they say yes. Number two, just because they say no, it doesn't mean they mean completely no. Be persistent. Just keep asking. Because the worst they can say is yes, because that's when you have to perform. Number three, make sure you follow the process. No matter what, do not deviate from the process. Because if you deviate, that's when mistake happens. I know. I have done it. Number four, and this is one that I think is more than anything, it's the most important one. Expect the unexpected. When it comes to real estate, you have no clue what's going to happen. You assume a lot of things, and mostly your assumptions are going to be correct. But something will always happen to throw a curveball into everything, and then you have to scramble for that. But the worst thing you can do is panic. Just step back, look at the process that you have done before, and said, okay, can I use the process to help me through this? And if I cannot use the process, can I use somebody else to help me to this? Do not believe that you can solve every single problem that comes to you. I made that mistake, and it slowed down my growth, to be perfectly honest. And the number five, and the most important one, is just don't give up. Whatever happens, if it might take you 3 years to get your first deal, but don't give up. But you might get lucky and do it in one. It does happen. When you get an offer accepted on your first deal because you have done the numbers, that's fine. But just don't give up. And that reminds me the other thing is the numbers are important. Do not fall in love with a property only with the numbers. Because if you fall in love with the property, I know that was an expensive lesson to me. It cost me $40,000. You will not do the right thing. The numbers must work. If they don't work, don't do it, no matter what. No matter who's telling you. If the numbers don't work, don't do it. That's about the best I can do, summarize the advice that I can give anybody.
I'm really glad I asked for you to summarize, because that was brilliant. That was awesome.
Thank you.
Yep. So Lance Edwards, this is Kristen Crabtree. Please join us again when we interview our next department champion. If you'd like to learn how you could be our next department champion, please call our office at 281-667-3638. You're only one deal away.